What if I told you that some cancers have a secret weapon, a hidden arsenal that has nothing to do with genetic mutations? What if cancer could speak a secret language, a chemical whisper that convinces our own immune system to stand down and look the other way? Today on Fun Facts Online, we're unmasking this secret weapon, hormones. We're going beyond the textbook story of cancer as just uncontrolled cell growth and diving into the shadowy world of hormonal warfare, where tumors act as master manipulators, disarming our body's best defenders. To understand this, we need to zoom into the battlefield, what scientists call the tumor microenvironment, or TME. This isn't just a blob of cancer cells, it's a bustling, complex ecosystem. Think of it like a rogue city, complete with its own supply lines, construction crews, and, most importantly, its own propaganda department. And the primary tool of this propaganda? Hormones. For a long time, we knew that some cancers, like breast and prostate cancer, respond to the body's natural hormones. But the game-changing discovery is that many cancer cells don't just listen to these signals. They create their own. This is called ectopic hormone production, where a lung cancer cell, for example, might start pumping out a hormone usually made somewhere else entirely. It's like a factory suddenly starting to print its own currency to control the local economy. One of the most stunning examples of this strategy was uncovered recently, and it revolves around a protein that can act as a hormone called secretagogranin 2, or SCG2 for short. Researchers found that some particularly aggressive cancer cells were manufacturing and secreting huge amounts of SCG2. So what does it do? Well, it turns out SCG2 is looking for a very specific target, a receptor called LILRB4, which sits on the surface of our myeloid cells. Myeloid cells are the first responders of our immune system. They're the beat cops patrolling our tissues, looking for trouble. Their job is to identify a cancer cell, attack it, and, crucially, call for backup, the special forces of the immune system, the T cells. But when SCG2 from a cancer cell locks onto the LILRB4 receptor on a myeloid cell, it's like a secret handshake that flips a switch. It sends a signal deep inside the myeloid cell that essentially says, "Stand down, nothing to see here." The myeloid cell is deactivated. It won't attack the tumor, and it won't call for T-cell reinforcements. The cancer has effectively thrown a molecular cloak of invisibility over itself, silencing the very cells meant to sound the alarm. The evidence for this is compelling. In lab studies with mice, tumors engineered to produce SCG2 grew much faster. But when scientists used an antibody to block that LILRB4 receptor, preventing the secret handshake, tumor growth slowed down dramatically. This single discovery cracked open a whole new understanding of how cancer evades our defenses. But SCG2 is just one instrument in a much larger orchestra. Cancer uses a symphony of hormonal signals to disarm nearly every type of immune cell. Let's look at the different sections of this sinister orchestra. We've already talked about the myeloid cells, which include macrophages. Tumors don't just turn them off, they can corrupt them. They secrete hormones and other factors that reprogram these macrophages, turning them from tumor-fighting M1 types into tumor-helping M2 types. These corrupted M2 macrophages then actively suppress other immune cells, help the tumor build new blood vessels for fuel, and even assist in its spread. Next are the natural killer cells, or NK cells. They are our innate immune system's frontline assassins, able to kill cancer cells on sight. But the hormonal and chemical soup, created by the tumor, is incredibly hostile to them. It can effectively disarm them by making them less able to recognize their targets. Then we have the T cells, the heavy artillery of our adaptive immune system. These are the cells that can form a long-term memory of the cancer and hunt it down specifically. We've seen how the SCG2 pathway indirectly suppresses them by cutting off their invitation to the battle, but hormones can also hit them directly. For example, Glucocorticoids, a type of steroid hormone, can force T cells to display off switches on their surface, like the infamous PD-1 receptor. When this receptor is activated by a signal from the cancer cell, the T cell's attack is cancelled. Finally, there are the dendritic cells. Think of these as the immune system's intelligence agents. They capture pieces of the cancer cell and present them to the T cells, essentially training them on what the enemy looks like. But tumor-derived hormones can cripple these dendritic cells, preventing them from maturing. An immature dendritic cell is terrible at its job. Instead of activating an attack, it can actually promote tolerance, teaching the immune system to ignore the cancer entirely. The influence of hormones is perhaps most obvious when we look at sex hormones, estrogens and androgens. This is why some cancers are more common in one sex than the other. As a general rule, estrogens are thought to boost the immune system, while androgens, like testosterone, tend to be more immunosuppressive. This might partially explain some of the observed differences in cancer outcomes between men and women, but it's not that simple. In the context of cancer, estrogen can be a double agent. While it can be immunostimulatory, high levels of estrogen have also been shown to help out regulatory T cells, which are a type of cell that suppresses the immune response, essentially protecting the tumor. In estrogen receptor-positive breast cancer, the situation is even more complex. A strong immune presence in these tumors can sometimes mean a worse prognosis, suggesting the cancer has successfully co-opted the immune cells for its own purposes. On the flip side, in prostate cancer, which is driven by androgens, blocking these hormones is a standard treatment. And it turns out this androgen deprivation therapy does more than just starve the cancer cells. It can actually promote an anti-tumor immune response by allowing more immune cells to flood into the tumor. This has opened up the exciting possibility of combining hormone blocking with immunotherapy. Sometimes, a tumor's ectopic hormone production gets so out of control that its effects are felt throughout the entire body. This leads to a collection of symptoms known as paraneoplastic syndromes. These aren't caused by the tumor itself physically pressing on things, but by the chaos unleashed by the hormones it's pumping into the bloodstream. For example, a small cell lung cancer might start producing a hormone that causes Cushing's syndrome, leading to rapid weight gain and high blood pressure. While the immediate symptoms are metabolic, this massive hormonal imbalance also creates a body-wide state of immunosuppression, which is exactly what the cancer wants. In some cases, the appearance of a paraneoplastic syndrome is the very first clue that a hidden cancer is at work. So we've unmasked cancer's secret weapon. We understand its propaganda network. The crucial question now is, how do we dismantle it? This new knowledge is lighting the way for a new generation of cancer therapies that target this hormone immune axis. The most promising strategy right now is combination therapy. It's a two-pronged attack. For a cancer like ER-positive breast cancer, you use hormonal therapy, like an aromatase inhibitor, to block the estrogen the cancer feeds on. At the same time, you use an immunotherapy drug like a checkpoint inhibitor to take the brakes off the T cells. The idea is that the hormonal therapy weakens the tumor and makes its microenvironment less suppressive, creating the perfect opportunity for the reawakened immune system to launch a decisive attack. Clinical trials are actively testing these combinations for both breast and prostate cancer, and the early results are very promising. And what about that molecular cloak, the SCG2-LILRB4 pathway? The discovery of this interaction has created a brand new target. Scientists are now racing to develop drugs, either antibodies or small molecules, that can physically block the LILRB4 receptor or neutralize the SCG2 hormone. Such a drug could reactivate those first responder myeloid cells, allowing them to see the cancer and call in the T-cell cavalry. This could be a revolutionary treatment for cancers that are currently resistant to immunotherapies because it targets a completely different mechanism of immune evasion. Researchers are also exploring other creative ideas, like developing vaccines that train the immune system to recognize mutated hormone receptors that can appear on cancer cells. The unmasking of cancer's hormonal weaponry marks a true paradigm shift. It forces us to see cancer not just as a rogue cell multiplying out of control, but as a sophisticated, adaptive organism that masterfully manipulates its entire environment to survive. It's a con artist, a puppet master, and a propagandist all in one. The future of oncology lies in this more holistic view. It's about understanding the intricate crosstalk between cancer, hormones, and our immune system. By learning to disrupt cancer's secret communication channels and dismantle its clandestine support network, we can tip the balance of power. We can finally unleash our body's own powerful defenses to win the fight against this formidable disease. The goal is no longer just to kill the cancer cell, but to tear down the entire corrupt system that allows it to thrive.